Heyo, and welcome back to the Boston Sports Brothers podcast. You got the URI crew this evening with Sammy K and Gabe, and the return of one of our favorite guests. It's Uncle E. Gabe's Uncle Eric is with us tonight from Philadelphia after a Philadelphia-Boston sports weekend. Uncle E, how are you? Good to see you again.
I'm good. I'm good. I miss my boy chicks. Good to see you. Very good to see
We're
you.
here, Gabe, Sammy K. Good to see you. It's been a few weeks since I've been
Hey,
able to pod, traveling the
happy
globe
Monday,
here
happy
and
Monday.
whatnot.
Good to see you back.
It is good to be
Agreed.
back. I'm excited to pod tonight. We'll give Uncle Lee works for the great company Odyssey and is involved in all things radio in the Philadelphia area and works with WIP in Philadelphia, so the sports station down there. So what better guest to have with us after the Celtics take on the Sixers and the Bruins take on the Flyers? We're going to start with some basketball tonight. We'll talk Celtics first, and that's the game that was most recent here as we're recording here on Monday night. Let's talk about it. The Celtics go ahead and take care of business against Philadelphia. They honored Cedric Maxwell this evening, and the rumors of Tatum returning did not come out to be true yesterday, but I think we're getting closer. But let's just go around the horn, sort of kick things around from the game last night, the week that was for the Celtics. Uncle Lee, did you get a chance to tune in and watch the game?
I did, and I don't know if you caught our boy VJ Edgecombe diving into the crowd and kicking one of your
Give that
fans
lady a
in
nice kick to the face.
She ate that.
You know what? She was a sweetheart. He's one of the nicest guys on earth to begin with, and I think she has a new favorite player.
You got to give Edgecombe some credit. That was all-out effort going into the stands to save that ball. Obviously, that possession didn't end up really changing things from the game. But no, that lady took a size whatever shoe right to her face. So props to her. And then she had her 15 seconds of fame. She went over to Tirico and
Yeah.
I can't stand Reggie Miller on the call. He's absolutely horrible, but went over to them and made sure that, hey, that was me.
Yeah,
Not a tear in her eye. I wonder how she's feeling today, though.
She got a nice hug
purple
from VJ. I'm telling you, I mean, Celtics are, even without Tatum, way more established, but I like this young Sixers team. I love this VJ Max combination. Maxey and VJ are going to be around for the next 10 years. They're going to be our big two. And Embiid, I mean, scary thing is he's starting to play well again. He's the wild card. You get him healthy, and he's in shape. He just gets freak injuries when the wind blows. It's kind of weird. And who was the guy that went off on the Sixers yesterday that I never heard of? Never
Keita
had a career game.
27 and 17, I think. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
And he's actually establishing himself to be one of the elite big men in the game. And the Celtics went and traded for Vucevic. I'm gonna butcher his name.
You got it,
Nikola, and Neemias Queta is proving to be just as good in some regards, and so who knows what's to come. Like you said, this team's well established, and they got Jason Tatum kind of lurking in the background to come back in. So there's a lot to be said, and kind of to mention about what you said about the Phillies. I mean, not the Phillies, the 76ers. They're a young team. You guys got promise, and if Embiid is healthy at the right time, like you said, it can bring your team really far. I mean, you guys got as pretty, in Toronto at the semifinals, I believe. If it wasn't for that freak shot from Kawhi Leonard, you guys are probably going to the finals, and who knows what becomes of that. So, it's. The 76ers have always played us hard. I've always, when I was a little bit younger in my teen days, my dad's company had season tickets to the Celtics, so I would go quite a bit. And a lot of the games that I would go to were the 76er games. And even though back then, the team wasn't as talented, they still played us just as hard. So they've, you guys have always been a hard team to play with, and I'm really not surprised that we had a season
It's
split
a
with you.
fun rivalry. It always has been. Like in Philly, we hate the Cowboys. That's a rivalry. With the Celtics is a respected rivalry, and I think that's kind of cool. And Vucevic was a Sixer originally. He was drafted by the Sixers, and he's been on a lot of teams. Guy could shoot. Doesn't play a lot of defense, but he could shoot. And
He's
your
Yeah,
boy
given the
White
Celtics.
is a Sixer. He has a career against the Sixers.
Yeah,
No,
Derek White.
Vucevic is
It's
given the.
oh
Go ahead, Sam.
no, I'll tell you, Plotty. Take it away.
No, I was gonna. I mean, Derek White's just continued to excel in his role and has been a guy for the Celtics this year that I think struggled at times at sort of assuming that number 2 role on the team behind Brown, but has settled into that. The more and more I watch it, the Vucevic for Simons trade, I think is one that's going to benefit the Celtics, especially as you get towards the playoffs and with Tatum returning, his ability to stretch the floor. And I'll give credit to our buddy John Corrales. He sort of mentioned that when they have Vucevic out there, Derek White, Hugo Gonzalez, and Jordan Walsh are usually on the floor with him to sort of give him a boost up from a defensive standpoint. So, yes, he's a turnstile when it comes to defense, as Uncle Lee said. But he just gives them a dynamic that they didn't have from the big man position but earlier in the season. Garza played admirably as a backup center, but when it came to the playoffs, I don't think was going to be a guy you could rely on. So it's been fun to see. I mean, the fact that the Celtics are 40-20 and are having the season that they're having is just unreal. So
you guys are having a
it's
fantastic
insane.
season. Like I hearken back to when we spoke, I guess about a year ago. Gabe was single at the time, and now he was engaged. but like I remember there were not high expectations for the Pats. Tatum had gone down, and I was like, "Wow, these guys came up big." The Red Sox, you were not, so high on. By the way, I don't want to skip too many topics, but you're gonna love Ranger Suarez. We loved him in Philly. He's the coolest, chill guy you'll find out there. He always wants the ball in clutch situations, and you will love him. The fans will love him, and he's funny. He's funny as all get go too.
But we'll definitely get into some baseball in a few minutes here. Gabe, wanted to get your Celtics takes, anything from the week that was for the team, and what your takeaways are sort of 2/3 ways through the season here.
Yeah, I mean, you guys really put it together nicely. I think, I'm watching right now. I think this is the first game. The Celtics are playing the Bucks right now on a back-to-back. I think this is the first game that Vucevic has actually started for this club, and that's kind of an interesting move. I think it's just to give Keita some rest. But like you said, he's playing with some more kind of defensive guys like Hugo Gonzalez, and he does lack a little bit of the defense on his end, so it is smart on Joe Mazzulla's part to do that. But just going back to the rivalry, I think it is a respected rivalry, even though they play in the same conference, and it's just this season. All the games have been really close. This is probably the first game where the Celtics kind of put it away late, and it wasn't a threat to go into overtime or down to the wire. So they play each other great. I'm a huge fan of VJ Edgecombe. If I had some more shekels in my pocket, I'd probably collect his cards, his rookie cards, and hold on to those for quite some time, because he's a stud, and he's going to be one of the focal points in the 76ers franchise moving forward. Embiid is he's a tough one to rely on at the moment. I think if you can get a healthy Embiid into the playoffs, the Sixers could actually make some noise and potentially win a round or two. I don't think they're gonna gonna take a championship or anything this year, but
Yeah.
I do see them causing some trouble in the Eastern Conference, especially with it being so open.
Hey, what's the vibe in Philly around the Sixers? Like, and is it are people happy with the team? And you got a rookie in Edgecombe who's going to be there for a while, and you guys got that bat. Maxi's unbelievable. I mean, that guy is a bona fide all-star and one of the best guards in the league. But is there happiness and sort of you're looking ahead to what this team could be, or is it still like this fucking guy Embiid just can never get on the court and
A
is
little bit
holding
of
us
that,
back?
but here's the vibe and here's the WIP. I have to say we are a 12-month Eagles station. We broadcast their games, we broadcast the Phillies games. Phillies are like a B to Eagles A. We seldom talk basketball or Sixers, which hurts my heart because that was so big to me growing up. Growing up, there was nothing bigger than the Flyers. There are zero hockey calls on our station. We have one young on-air guy. His name is Hunter Brody, and Broads they call him, and we give him a hockey minute a week. 1 minute to talk about hockey.
Wow.
It's such a non-factor, and it's mind-boggling. Like if you did a poll, like a Jimmy Kimmel type poll, and said, "Hey, could you name 5 Flyers?" People would not be able to do it, and it's a little sad, but
They haven't been, unfortunately, relevant in a while in terms of making a playoff push or anything like that. So let's dive into
Sixers,
hockey and just go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I was going to say Sixers. I'm interrupting the shit out of you. Sixers,
No, it's good.
No, Sixers. The talk is about Embiid. Can he make it through a season? The answer is always no. If it's, you know, timing wise, he was to the point where he was playing about 35 minutes a game. He had about 12 games in a row where he scored over 30, had 10 boards. Maxi is fantastic. He shows up every night. VJ hustles all the time, doesn't score all the time, but he's a kid. He's a baby, and and you have tough pros like Kelly Oubre, who is always a good guy to have on your team. You have Grimes on your team who could shoot a little bit. When everybody's out there, everybody's healthy. Oh, and you have Paul George, who had a ridiculous suspension for some sort of substance was in his like Wheaties or something. Like who knows? But he'll be back shortly. And all of a sudden you're putting a team on the floor with Oubre, George, Embiid, VJ, and Maxi. That's a pretty good 5.
Definitely a good 5, and as Gabe was saying, can maybe make some noise in the playoffs if they're healthy. If they can, I think the biggest thing is if they can stay out of the play-in, and go up against. I think it's the Knicks and Cleveland sort of jockeying in that 3-4 seed right now. But that would be a pretty entertaining series if both teams. Certainly, a New York Philadelphia first round series would be great, and if both teams are healthy, I could see Philly giving the Knicks a little bit of trouble. Just the way that they sort of match up. So it's good to get it's always good when the Sixers are good and in the playoffs, and Philadelphia basketball brings a good vibe to things across NBA. Those jerseys that they wore last night are the AI sort of jerseys from back when we were kids that
They're the
are
best.
absolutely awesome. And so it's always great to beat the Sixers as well, though. So we'll take that. A few things to wrap up the Celtics. They beat the shit out of the Nets a couple nights before and just had, I think Grandy tweeted out that they had the best offensive rating in any game of NBA history, shot 66% from 3 and just were off the charts, scoring 148. And then they had a loss to the Nuggets earlier in the week. a few like Celtics little nuggets here. If the Nuggets and them somehow got to the finals, that is a team that absolutely scares me, and they've always had trouble with Denver. And I do think Tatum's coming back, and it's only a matter of time here in the next couple of weeks. But I do have to say, like, can he just come back without the whole like fucking documentary and like all the hoopla around it? It's like I love Tatum and he's going to make him better, but like the whole song and dance about him coming back is just like, dude, just come back and get back into it. I don't need the whole fucking pony show that goes along with it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm getting really sick of people just guessing what date or what game he's going to come back. It's like, we'll see him when we see him. Like the Celtics are playing great. It's going to take some time for him to integrate back into the lineup. And I mean, it's like the rush is because of that, I think. But it's like I'm so tired of it. Like, just come back, stop making documentaries and making this a whole thing like no one's ever had torn their Achilles before, and get on the court. Like, it's getting annoying at this point.
Yeah, agreed.
I gotta tell you, that kid's losing his cute factor too. That kid's kind of annoying now. Little Tatum
Deuce?
kid. Yeah, Deuce.
Deuce Tatum he's not the little 3 or 4 year old sitting on courtside eating
He's
popcorn
money
anymore.
on the court too, just like his dad.
Yeah, you never know. He could be. Just wait. It could be a whole fucking Brawny 2.0 situation, and we don't even know it's coming.
Yeah.
So, but all right, let's shift gears a little bit. Uncle Lee brought up the hockey team, and the Flyers did take care of the Bruins on Saturday in a primetime game. But the Bruins had a nice start back after the Olympic break. So, Gabe, I'm going to hand it over to you to set the table on some Bruins talk here.
Yeah, for sure. And as much as in Philadelphia, they only give that guy a minute to talk about the Flyers in a week. They're actually positioned slightly in a wild card spot. I mean, they're not too far off from the last wild card spot. I mean, I don't see them making the playoffs, but I don't know. Maybe Philly is going through a pretty big turnaround right now, but it was impressive to see them take down the Bruins. The Bruins returned from the Olympics. They got a nice win against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Swayman wasn't ready to go, so Korpisalo got the start, had a great game. Morgan Geekie continues to score at an impressive rate. I didn't know if you guys knew this, but he has 66 goals in the past 2 seasons, which is up there with some of the great goal scorers in the NHL. So that is something to keep an eye on, and very impressive. And then you get Swayman starting against Philadelphia. Just doesn't look right. He didn't look right in the Olympics. He doesn't look right coming back to the NHL. And I might start to feel out on Jeremy Swayman. I think that he's kind of lost focus. I don't know if he's a great guy in the locker room. I don't know if the guys really love him and feel like he has their back like they have his. And I question if things are starting to sour a bit with Jeremy Swayman. Obviously he's signed to a long-term contract and it's an expensive one. So you're committed to the guy, but I mean, who's to say you don't ship him out west? So you ship him. Edmonton's looking for a goaltender. The trade deadline is right around the corner. Would they take a big contract like that and risk bringing in Jeremy Swayman and seeing how that works, and maybe get Connor McDavid over the hump? So I mean, I don't see that actually happening, but I'm really disappointed. I'm pretty out on Jeremy Swayman, and I think that you guys would also agree with that. I think that he's just not having, the season that we all kind of hope for.
Yeah, I mean, I look back on like previous episodes when we had talked about Brad Marchand and Jeremy Swayman, and there being some controversy maybe in the locker room. Looking back, was it the right idea to get rid of, Marchand versus Swayman? I mean, at the time you had to do what you had to do, and the front office did what they had to do. But, when you're able to look at everything once the dust settles, you really do wonder who was the issue in the locker room. You've given Swayman a year and a half now, or a season and a half since signing that contract, or since that whole thing went down. So it's just who really knows. Again, I'm not a huge hockey guy. I watched the crap out of the Olympics and all that stuff. What I did see from Swayman was, he wasn't as good as Hellebuck, but I mean, Hellebuck, from what I understand, is a much better goalie. So you can take that for what it is. But my big question is would another team eat that contract? Because that's what it's going to come down to, because we all know that Jacobs are super cheap.
It's an interesting scenario. And Gabe, I think what you were saying is like Marco Sturm had some pretty interesting comments after that Columbus game, because Korpisalo had to come out for a little bit, and Swayman wasn't ready to go, so DiPietro went in, and DiPietro it looks like he's having could be the MVP of the AHL with the numbers that he's posted. So the Bruins always seem to have a pretty good goalie depth from the big league club to the minors, and so in Sturm's comments that night really sort of rubbed it like Swayman just wasn't ready to go in that game back. And he played one game in the Olympics. Like, how are you not ready to go? I wouldn't be opposed to them, shipping him off and trying to unload that contract and make him some more space. And I don't think that he's well liked in that locker room. I don't think that he's sort of assimilated into the team with all the trades that have gone on. And that might be something behind the doors. I want the Bruins to make the playoffs and try and make a run, and I do think Swayman gives them the best chance to do so. But unlike Montgomery, who rode who was the guy that was here beforehand who won the Vezina, and now he's in Ottawa. I can't remember. Linus. He rode
Omar.
Linus way too long in that series against Florida and went to Swayman in Game 7. Like, if they get into a 7-game series and Swayman looks like shit in the first 2 games, like, you got to have a short leash with the guy and go to Korpisalo, who played extremely well in that Columbus game. He stole that game for them undoubtedly. Even though they scored 4 goals, he played out of his mind in that game. But let's rewind a little bit to Philly and Uncle Lee. We know that it sounds like it's the 4th sport in town when it comes to things in Philadelphia, but what do the Flyers sort of have to do to get themselves back on track and get back into the conversation of being a team that has some relevancy in town? What are some of the things that
I think they have
to
pull the trigger on and get some star power. They haven't had star power in a while, almost like Lindros, Pronger, those days. Ronick, like, those days are gone, long gone, and they suck in goal. Ron Hextall was the last goalie of note, and they had, and ironically enough, I just read a book called Thundermouth by this guy Joe Watson, who played for the Flyers forever, came up through the Bruins system. Bobby Orr was the best man at his wedding, which was pretty interesting to read. And Bernie Parent was a Bruin originally too. So thank you for the greatest goalie ever in my lifetime. And he actually died this year. And I went to his memorial because our family became friends with he and his wife. And I got to tell you, he was all-time good guy. All those guys, for the last time the Flyers won the Stanley Cup was 1975, and they had a great run in 76 where they lost to the Canadiens in the finals, but the Russians were beating the shit out of the Canadian teams, and the Flyers beat the Russians and saved face for the NHL that year. But it's a long time since then. You guys weren't even, your parents were, kids at the time. But It's been a while for the Flyers. I like this kid, Trevor Zegras, who they got. I like Michkov, who's never in shape, but he's got mad skills. I like Tocchet as the coach. This Vladar as the goalie. When he's healthy, he's really good. They have their other goalie, Sam Erson, sucks ass. He's horrible. He's like this. We call him Swiss cheese. He's got a lot of holes.
So many holes.
But
That's such a great nickname.
yeah, and this kid Drysdale and Hathaway, like they have Owen Tippett, like there's a core there. I think Couturier, his empty net goal against you guys was his first goal in like 40 games. So I think he's clearly on the back nine
Unreal.
of the back nine. So I don't think he's their captain. I don't think of him as captain material as the same way I thought of Lindros and Bobby Clark. And like they were dudes. Claude Giroux, like that was the last team that really made a run. Giroux and Pronger and Simone Gagne and like those guys, Jeff Carter. They haven't smelt the playoffs in years. This year they do have an outside shot because I think Tocchet gets it. But when the highlight of the hockey team is a team that won 50 years ago, it's kind of a sad statement. And as far as like marketing, like there's nothing really marketable about the Flyers. And even taking it a step further, when they won the Stanley Cup, the guys didn't wear helmets. So like you could recognize like the hockey hair, the Hughes brothers hair, like they're like there's no one recognizable. Like I said earlier, people can't name 5 Flyers and they really don't care to. Like in our market, there was a study that came out. And apparently our WIP brand is like the 3rd or 4th most recognizable sports brand in the market, ahead of the Flyers. Like that's messed up when you think about it. But I'm hoping they make the playoffs. They, what? I think they did things. I don't know if you guys do it with the Bruins, where we have that goofy mascot. And like this, it's become like a sideshow, and less hockey, more sideshow, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't. Danny Briere and Keith Jones are the co-GMs, and it's so different than when Ed Snyder ran the team. But we suck it up and hope for the best, and we're like, hey, the big joke was always, as many days till pitchers and catchers report. When do the Eagles start?
That's what I always say.
It's you think of Philly and the Broad Street Bullies and sort of everything that comes along with that brand. So hopefully they can get back to recognition. Gabe, I want to wrap up our hockey talk. You mentioned the trade deadline that looms on Friday, bringing it back to the Bruins. What if anything, are you hoping to see in terms of moves that they're making? And Big E, welcome aboard. We hope your resident meeting over there went well. You'll have to fill us in and see if any politicians are in the penalty box a little bit later.
Lots of things going on in Big Easty.
You have to let us know if it's an oh yeah or a yeah.
Yeah. It's not yet determined, to be honest. It's unclear. It's unclear.
Still fighting.
The barriers are staying for now. That's all we know. All right.
Oh,
Gabe.
they are.
Gabe,
I'm not happy about it.
Gabe, man. Go ahead and break down what you're looking for trade deadline wise.
Well, I think one thing I just wanted to say, bouncing off Uncle Lee, is it's unfortunate that the Flyers aren't looked at as highly as they used to be. I know my parents grew up in Philadelphia. My mom still talks about the 70s when they were unbelievable and winning the Stanley Cup. They are diehard Flyers fans in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, and I know that they would love to see a team come up and be great again. So there's definitely the want from the fans, even if it's not kind of marketable at this point. But I'm sure if Michkov, I think he could be a superstar in the league if he just gets his head right. I mean, he's a young kid, so he's got some work to do. But if they can put a team together around him and find a goalie that goes with it, then who knows? I mean, again, we said that they're kind of in the wild card mix, and maybe that kind of jump starts a new era for the Flyers. So we'll see. But the trade deadline is looming. It's this Friday. Don Sweeney, our GM, said not to expect them to be as active as last year. I'm sure if you guys remember last year, they got rid of some really, really big names in the Bruins roster, such as like Brandon Carlo and Charlie Coyle. And, so I think that their plan moving forward is kind of to stay pat, but if anything comes their way that's palatable and can make their team better, I think they make those moves. They do have 2 first-round picks this year, so if they really wanted to get creative and get some offense or defense or anything, they could pair a first-round pick with potentially a player, a prospect or 2 that may have underperformed so far, like a Lysell or a Patra. So, I mean, the world's their oyster. I personally would like to see them stand pat and use those 2 draft picks, first round picks this coming year. Toronto is really struggling this year. We have their first round pick there. I believe that's currently a number 9 pick in the upcoming draft. So, it wouldn't be a bad thing to stand pat. I don't think they need to do anything crazy. So we'll see. I'm not sure about the Flyers and how active they'll be either. They've been making a lot of moves trying to better their roster as of late. So who knows? I don't know if Uncle E has a pulse on the trade deadline, but yeah.
Like anyone else, they're like, oh, the Flyers should go all in on Connor McDavid. As crazy as it sounds, I think he could change the franchise around. Like he could be as impactful as Lindros was. And I think they have a ton of draft picks to use in draft capital. And they have some players. I mean, I think, he's great. He's been a Flyer forever, but like, this is when you give up a Travis Konechny or at Sanheim. These guys, there's very few marquee names on the Flyers, but there are 2 that could help other teams. They definitely need a goalie. They were totally screwed when the whole Carter Hart thing went down. That changed the fate of the franchise. Put him back a couple years, and he resurfaced. It's funny. I don't know about you guys, but did you see the celebrations with the Team USA after the gold medal? Like those boys went crazy, and they were in strip clubs in Miami and singing the national anthem and go. But you gotta love Team USA hockey, and but like it's a shame. Like how do you not love hockey after watching both the men and women's gold medal games? And then you go back to like, how do you keep that momentum going? And the question that the networks have is, I don't know, they're just not doing it.
It's difficult with hockey and it carrying over to the NHL. I think, in Canada it's different. There's pride for those teams in those places. And in certain places in the US, the original 6 teams, but it really is contingent, I feel, upon is your team in the mix and vying for a Stanley Cup. we all know as well, hockey season really doesn't start, and the interest doesn't really start until the playoffs start. And playoff hockey compared to regular season hockey is just night and day. That's when it really does start to pick up, and that's why it's so important to get into the playoffs, because you know that once you're in the dance, anybody can take the girl home at the end of the night, if you will. So, it's up for grabs. I'll be interested to see what moves are made, over the course of this week with the deadline looming. It's an extremely late deadline, and I think I heard the other day that basketball season is wrapping up before hockey season this year because of the Olympic break, which is just insane. So, we
first
got
time ever I can remember that.
Yeah, 20 games to go or so, and we'll keep our eye on it. Let's get our eye down to the Fort Kraz and talk a little baseball. What's going on down there? We do have another international competition on the horizon that should hopefully unite the country and bring everybody together. So, Kraz, let's talk a little baseball. Set the stage, baby.
Definitely. Well, I'll start us off with where the Red Sox are currently standing. They are 6-4, 7-6. The one thing I do want to just touch on before we get into the Phillies and all that stuff, just Boston-wise, is that a lot of our guys, regulars, even though we've had some losses, some bad losses, our regulars are taken out of the games a little bit earlier because their earlier spring training games, they've been hitting the shit out of the ball. That's the one constant that you can kind of see with these games, are that the regular players are really doing what they're supposed to do. And you'll have, your anomalies, people that kind of just spring up in spring training, because that kind of always happens. But they're doing what they're supposed to do. You want to have a winning, I in my own personal opinion, you want to have a winning record in spring training so you can carry that into the regular season and build on that and use that as momentum to kind of carry yourself forward, because it's a 162 game season. But as far as like you talking about, Plotty, the World Baseball Classic, that takes place, I believe the first game's on the 5th of March, so
Thursday.
in 3 days, at 12 o'clock. It is, I believe, Chinese Taipei versus Australia in Tokyo. I'm not sure when the first game for our guys are, but I do know that
noontime Friday.
I do know that tomorrow, San Francisco's playing Team USA, and then for our tribesmen, Team Israel is playing Miami at 1:10. So that is, take that for what it's worth.
Garrett Stubbs, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really cool to see Israel involved in Team USA. I mean, the World Baseball Classic with all these other huge teams, and them actually being a presence. But obviously, we know the U.S., Dominican, Puerto Rico, Japan, those are all the big dames, the big dogs to take down. But yeah, Ranger Suarez, Uncle E, let's talk about what we got.
Stud. Absolute stud. Wants the ball. Big games. I think the city will fall in love with him. You guys will love him. He goes late into games. He gets hurt sometimes, but when he pitched, first of all, he's a huge big game pitcher, and ice in his veins. Really, really chill guy. Doesn't get intense, and but he doesn't overpower anybody. Throws strikes like nobody's business. Never falls behind in counts, and he's a great fielder too. You will really like him. And I thought it was amazing when he was signed, and it was kind of like underreported. And my first reaction was, do they realize what a stud they just got? Like, they got a guy that would be number one in most rotations in baseball. But you guys are doing the right things. You got some young talent. But you will love him. I always try to, before I talk to you guys, I try to go through like the 4 teams and think of guys that like played on both teams and like who got the better version. And like you got like probably 50-50 who got the better shilling, and then they're like, well, who got the better Jimmy Fox, like that's. And I was looking up Jimmy Fox stats from like the 20s and 30s, and he was mostly a Philly. He won 3 MVPs. That was great. But he had a year for you guys where he had 50 homers and 175 RBIs. I was like, holy crap, it's like unheard of.
Damn.
But yeah, I love that the Sox are in the American League and we're in the National League because I get to root for them, and I always want Gabe and my brother's team to do well.
Vice versa.
And when I came up for the wedding, we did a TJ Maxx run and got some sick Sox gear for like off the rack. Like it was good stuff. And no, it was great. But I think the Phillies, the Dodgers are obviously loaded. And guys, I gotta jump after this. I'm getting pinged as we speak. But we got to do this again because we got to do Justin Eagles one. That'll be crazy. But Phillies. People don't realize how close they were to knocking out the Dodgers to go to the World Series. like that team was loaded for bear. And by re-signing Real Muto, by re-signing Schwarber, they're 2 rock stars. They already had Harper. They already had Trey. Everybody bust on Alec Boehm and Stott. But you know what? They're good. They're really good. And Carl Crawford's kid is the real deal, and he's going to crack the starting lineup this year, and that's going to be amazing. That Odalis Perez is
just don't give him a long-term contract, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, I was like, they're the biggest arms I ever saw on a human. He looked like, like what was it? Like Aladdin. It's like he's massive. I know he strikes out a ton, but
just like his dad.
Who cares? Let him hit some long balls, And and this kid Aiden Miller could play any position, and they may not be able to send him down to the minors because he's that talented, and their pitching is so deep. And the good news is, Wheeler's definitely coming back, and he's always good. And I'll tell you guys a great story before I jump. So Jesus Luzardo, freaking stud pitcher. My daughter, Gabe's cousin, she's a first grade teacher. And because she grew up in the business, like I've been in sports and entertainment for 30 plus years, she always had this idea, like, I'm going to reach out to these teams and these players and their foundations and see what they'll do for my kids, So she reached out to Jesus Luzardo's mom, who runs his foundation. And next thing you know, he's sending over like 80 jerseys for the whole first grade and all these toys and pizza parties for the kids. And he's like the greatest guy. And he's going to be coming to her school just to like hang out. And like I think he's a sleeper Cy Young Award candidate. They already have Christopher Sanchez. Like there's a lot of pitching on the Phillies. And the guy they got from Minnesota last year, Duran, throws routinely. Other than Chapman, who they're the only 2 people I've ever seen throw 103 before. And like I'm excited about Phillies baseball. Do we play you guys this year?
I think everybody plays everybody.
Everyone
at this
plays
point,
everybody.
So you do
get, usually it's in July.
Yeah. So
I wonder if it's in Philly or there.
We'll have to do some research on that.
I came last time to see Gabe and my brother, and it was so fun. I would definitely do that again.
We'll have to get a big block of
fun,
tickets and drink some Sam Adams in the bleachers.
They're in Boston in May, mid-May.
Oh, wow.
That looks... Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday series. So Tuesday, May 12th through the 14th.
We could possibly make that happen. And I'll tell you, so Odyssey, I guess Hartford, I was surprised to find Hartford is Red Sox country. And they I'm one of our, I think I'm the second leading Philly seller in Philly for Odyssey. And the sales manager over there, I delivered some deals to her. She's like, "You want to sell some Red Sox for me?" And I was like, do I get to go to some games? And so we struck a quick deal, and yeah, I'm going to be selling some Red Sox radio out there, and I definitely want to come see the Phils.
Well, love it. Let's make it happen. You'll hear more Shaws and Star Market ads from Uncle Lee on the WEEI Red Sox Radio Network. Uncle Lee, really appreciate your time. Know you got to jump. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. You're welcome on anytime, and let's definitely make that series in May happen. Hope to see you in person soon. Have a good rest of the week. Good upcoming springtime, and we'll get you back on soon.
Yeah, you guys too. Thank you so much. Sorry I had to jump.
All good from one E to another. Thank you for coming on as always.
All right. Thank you so much, boys. See you later.
Love
Bye.
it. Take care.
All right. Take care.
All right. Later.
There he goes, Uncle Lee from Philly with us tonight. Always a pleasure to have him on. Gabe, love that you got that set up for us. Much, much appreciated.
Yeah, you could tell he was getting excited about the Phillies. He was.
Yeah,
I think
the Phillies are one of the few teams in the NL that can like actually give the Dodgers a run for their money. And we talked about it. The Dodgers are loaded and the new evil empire, if you will, but there's got to be some teams that are positioned to try and take them down, and the Phillies are definitely one of those teams. So it'll be interesting to see what transpires here. I'm excited for baseball to get going. Most importantly, it means that nicer weather and warmer days are around the corner. But Kraz, I'll give it to you for any baseball wrap up here.
So it was actually funny. We were Uncle Lee and I were talking about the Phillies and the Dodgers prior to anyone hopping on, and to be completely honest, if it wasn't for what the Dodgers are doing as far as like deferring contracts and doing all these things and pretty much putting out a 1 through 9 that you could put out for the MLB All-Star game, the Phillies would be the team to be in the NL. There's no question in my mind. We've had Dave Dombrowski as a GM before. He does what needs to be done to win championships. I believe he was with Miami and got it done there. You can definitely correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% on that.
No, you're right. You're correct.
Then again, he went to, what's it called? He was with Detroit for a very long time. And I mean, we were talking about those teams with V-Mart, Miguel Cabrera, and
they went to the World Series.
They went to the World
constantly
Series multiple times.
ALCS.
Max
they were always
Scherzer,
competing.
Justin Verlander, Rick Porcello. I mean, they had a 1 through 4 that was absolutely nuts. So, I mean, and then even with us, he got us Chris Sale and got us over the hump to get that 2018 World Championship. So I firmly believe that the Phillies pose the greatest threat to the Dodgers, and I do think they actually have a fair shot. Despite all that star power, that means that that star power has to be deviated out, and that's tough to do when you have tons of guys that can. I mean, I know baseball is a sport that is individual and multiple team like stats as far as like home runs and RBIs and stuff like that. But if there is one team that I think can do it with the pitching depth and the position players that have done it before, I do think it's Philly. As far as our Red Sox,
I think they probably are the biggest threat in the NL, like you're saying. But I do think one thing to kind of consider as well is they play in a brutal division as well. The NL East is no cakewalk by any means. The Mets constantly spend money and put out a decent product on the field. The Braves are always a team that always competes as well. So I don't think it's necessarily a cakewalk that they go through. Not that I say the Dodgers do either, because the Dodgers play the Padres, and candidly, the rest of that division kind of sucks. But the Phillies, I think, will benefit from playing some of these really good teams. Iron sharpens iron.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Guys,
And
wrap it up.
yeah, as far as our Red Sox goes, we got 2 players for the U.S. and Roman Anthony and Garrett Whitlock, so we should be seeing them. We have this is an odd one: 2 players for Great Britain, Nate Eaton and Aroldis Chapman. So we'll see how that goes, and then I believe 3 players from Venezuela and William Abreu. I believe Carlos Narvaez and Ranger Suarez, if I'm not mistaken. So that should be fun to see. I might be missing a player or 2. And then other than that, just Peyton Tolles' speech to everyone in the locker room. I'm sure you all saw it. Can't get any more American than that. That guy is a true stud. The only thing that you could have changed about his speech to everyone there was them playing Freebird or the other one from Leonard Skinner there. But yeah, I mean, the Red Sox look like a team that's going to go in expecting their starting pitching to do most of the work and playing small ball to win games. And you know what? If that gets us into the postseason, I'm completely okay with that.
As we said about hockey, just get into the dance. Anything can happen from there. And I do think one of the things is do try and go win the division. We saw the importance of those home playoff games, and we know what Fenway Park can be from a playoff standpoint when it comes to that time of year. So hopefully they get there. We'll throw out a few football notes. We were going to talk a little bit about the Eagles and AJ Brown's situation with Uncle Lee. But I think, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt in terms of, his potential trade and wanting out of Philly. There's been a lot of talk about him coming to the Patriots and obviously the ties to Vrabel. If the asking price is so astronomical, though, where it's beyond, this year's first round pick and maybe a later round pick, to me, it's just like, you don't bother. The Patriots need to improve in the trenches a little bit, I believe, before they start looking at skill positions and be able to give Drake Mason more time on the line. They just got absolutely decimated in the Super Bowl. You certainly need the skill position players there, but if you have 0.2 seconds to get rid of the ball, like you're not going to do anything. So they gotta shore up the line, and Will Campbell not being healthy didn't help, but I don't know if AJ Brown is the difference between winning a Super Bowl and not winning a Super Bowl. You want the talent for sure, but I've said this a lot, like the Brandon Cook style trade that they made, where they gave up the first round pick that year. That was the year that they lost to the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and then they went and got Cooks, I believe. It might have been the year before, or whatever, but. That's the only sort of trade that I'm looking at. If they're looking for multiple first round picks, the Eagles Howie Roseman can kindly go fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like a receiver is still a need, but like you said, there are other needs that are more pressing than a wide receiver. And like at this point, not just getting another tackle in, whether that's someone who can come in and potentially back up Will Campbell, compete with him, or eventually be the person who comes in on the right side because Morgan Moses is no spring chicken. They really need to focus in on the pass rush as well. Pass rush and in the trenches on the offensive side, those are the biggest needs by far. If you can get edge help, it helps the defense massively. And clearly, from what we saw during the playoffs, we can't protect our quarterback, so we need someone who can do a better job with that. You do those things, all those other areas are just kind of,
Great.
icing on the cake at this point.
Yeah. I just my 2 cents. I strongly believe Vrabel is going to build in the trenches, like you guys said. That's where you win football games, win and lose football games, and I think that was apparent in the Super Bowl this year. I wouldn't be surprised if our draft picks go just all like offensive linemen, defensive linemen, like maybe spatter in like a wide receiver later or something like that. But it's just I think that's where Vrabel needs to start, and then you kind of build out from there and get skill position players as they come. So I'm disappointed that we couldn't get Uncle Lee on for this segment, because I know he would have a lot to say about the Eagles, and he's got a great knowledge about that team, and I'm sure he'd have some good AJ Brown insight. But definitely looking forward to the offseason. I think free agency starts pretty soon, and there's some decent names there. I don't think the Patriots will go big in free agency, though.
Well, I think trade season is upon us. There was a trade that happened today, so I think this could be the thing that kicks it off with
Running
David
back
Montgomery being traded to the Texans. So I think there's a couple things you can infer from that. Is Joe Mixon cooked at this point because he didn't play at all last year, and kind of the hope was that he would be back and ready and healthy for the Texans this year. Getting Montgomery makes me think that maybe that's not the case. And the scary thing is, if you're the Lions, you could draft someone in the second or third round who can come in and complement Jahmyr Gibbs and be a young player to kind of come in and complement him. So I don't know. I think this is kind of the first domino that's about to fall, and I'm curious to see what will happen. I think Max Crosby is going to get traded. I don't think the Patriots are going to end up getting him, but you're going to end up seeing a lot of guys on the move between now and the draft. So keep your eyes peeled and be open to the possibility of whatever Mike Vrabel stretch and our friend Elliot Wolf feel like is in the best interest for the Patriots.
Yeah, it's definitely going to start to heat up. Go ahead, Sam.
I was going to say, I feel like at this point, the New England Patriots and their whole system that they've created over the past season, which I thought would take, at least 2 or 3 seasons, it's going to attract a lot more players. I'm looking at the free agent list now. I don't know how many are still in the market that aren't, but you have guys like Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, Deebo Samuel, Tutu Atwell, Marquise Brown. They'll, regardless if they trade or if they get somebody from the free agent market, they're gonna get somebody. But like you guys all touched on, and again, I'm not gonna beat a dead horse because A, no one wants to hear it, and B, I'm gonna get a knock on my door from PETA, and I don't feel like having that. So you got to build in the trenches. They're going to do that. The front office clearly knows that if we know that. So that's not what I'm really too worried about. More so than anything, this place has now become a player's destination again. And that's what I am the most excited about is an off season of, I think a bigger name is going to sign here than we expect. So I'm excited for that.
Can only hope for some talent to make their way up here to Foxborough. I'd take him in a heartbeat. He torched us this year.
It was great for me.
Big E brought up Joe Mixon. Did you guys hear the story about why Joe Mixon isn't playing? So apparently he had an off-season foot injury that was done, doing some sort of recreational sport that he wasn't supposed to be playing per his contract, and he tried to go get a surgery to clean things up without really sort of telling Houston that things had happened, and then that surgery completely fucked everything up. And so he just hasn't been able to get back on the field based on
what was he
having that injury and not really handling it the right way. What was your question,
soccer? Sam? What was he playing? Indoor soccer?
No. I think he was fucking around on like an ATV or a jet ski or something like that. So
did anyone never learn from Jay Williams? Jay Williams ruined his career by riding a motorcycle. Like, if I was a professional athlete, even if I loved motorcycles, ATVs, stuff like that, wait till you retire before you play on those things, because you could kill your career earnings if you have a serious injury. And I don't mind to deviate,
but being in Rhode Island and in Boston, I've looked at the highways here. I couldn't imagine going over fucking 45 miles an hour and hitting one of those bumps. That's it. Yeah, done. Let alone those guys that go flying by you at like 100 miles. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Maybe I'm just morbid, but I think of like Rodney Rogers, rest his soul, great Celtic pickup back in that 2001 season. But like him, you guys, Jay Williams, who I just talked about, there are more guys than just those two. just stay away from the things that can really damage you. And also, you want to know what?
Jose Fernandez died in a fucking speedboat
the boating
accident.
The boating accident. Yeah, it's just like, be smart about the dumb decisions in your life. That's something I learned when I was a teen in my early 20s, and is one of the best advice, one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten in my life.
You have money, get a driver.
There you go. Be smart in the dumb decisions in your life. That's a good quote. This isn't a dumb decision. Let's take this podcast to our favorite segment of the week. Biggie, take it away.
Oh, I thought we'd never get here. This is my favorite time of the week.
Yeah.
I know, guys. I showed up just for this.
I wasn't going to be able to do it, to be honest.
You would have stepped into my shoes fine. Don't put yourself down, Sammy K. But it's my favorite time of the week. It's the time of the week that, we get to talk about the things that we don't like, the things that, when I get up in the morning, I'm like, stinky. Yeah. Oh, get out of here. We don't like them. And then there are the things that are wondrous, stupendous, that make me jump out of bed in the morning and go, oh yeah, and yell from the mountaintops. Who's got a yeah oh or an oh yeah this evening?
Yodelay.
Yodelay, oh yeah.
God, I think you might have just broke one of my speakers.
It's been a couple weeks since I've had the oh yeah oh segment here live on the show, so it's good to be back at this time of week. I mean, we talked about it off the rip, but with Uncle Lee in that game last night. But the woman taking VJ's shoe to the face was awesome. That's a oh yeah, good for her.
She got a shiner. And not only that, she was mixing it up with the NBC crew. She was mixing it up with VJ Edgecombe after that. It was just awesome.
I hope she went and got some beers afterwards and went to the greatest bar or something, because this morning you wake up, your face ain't going to be feeling too hot. But, she took it like a champ. That's for damn sure.
I think talking about the greatest bar, this is a good segue into our next one here, Plotty, that you got listed here. So I'll let you take it away.
Oh, yes. This was terrible news to see today. A big Stats Bar and Grill in Southie, one of the premier sports bars in all of Boston, is closing its doors at the end of March. Boy, oh boy, have I had some days over at Stats back in my misspent youth and being a Bostonian resident. It sucks. I mean, that's one of the institutions in Boston of, you're going out in Southie and going to have a Southie Sunday or Saturday, whatever it is. And, it's terrible. I just don't even know how to sort of put it. It was one of those places where it's like, hey, you want to go and watch a game, or you want to go out and get after it a little bit. Stats was always one of those sorts of places that was reliable, and you knew you were going to have a good time. Gabe DJ Screwloose has been there several times. The DJ saw a couple of his sets over there. So it's nice. It's always sad when you see a local institution like that closing its doors. My only hope is that Gaz from Barstool, Dave Portnoy's right-hand guy, was a loyal Stats person. And my hope is that maybe a Barstool Boston bar goes in. There. That would be something I would love to see after being in Nashville last week and knowing the Barstool Nashville bar and the success that they have. But sad to see Stats go. It sucks.
I mean, sad for Stats to go, but if Barstool opens up a Boston-based Barstool bar, I mean, in the flagship of where Barstool was created, I think it would be a humongous hit. So that is kind of the thing that we can kind of look at for a silver lining out of here is hopefully Barstool is able to make a little bit of a presence in Southie. I think would be the best place for them to make their mark. So
100%.
Portnoy, I know you're listening because you're a loyal listener of ours.
Circle,
make it happen.
Tribesmen,
I don't know.
Everything.
I don't really know why they haven't. But look at this. We're just segueing in oh yeahs and yeah-ohs this week. We're talking about Barstool here, so we'll give it oh yeah. Pardon my take, probably the number one sports podcast in all the land is celebrating 10 years of doing their show. Certainly, I'd say we draw a lot of inspiration from Pardon My Take and sort of the segments and way that they go about the show and having some fun with their guests. And It's gotten me through many travel experiences and certain things throughout the course of the years. It's a good listen. It's always good things going on with Big Cat, PFT, Hank, and the bandits that they have over there. So
yeah,
congrats to them, because it's been an unreal run and a really fun show to tune into, and the growth and the
Here's to
trajectory
10
that
more.
they've had has just been fucking unbelievable. So good shit to the PMT fellas. I don't know if you guys are into PMT or not, but it's
awesome. It's on Netflix now. Like, so cool to just like be able to just like go on Netflix and be able to watch the next episode.
Pickles. Big Cat's one of my favorites, man. Pickles.
Definitely inspirational too for
asking how much
some fellow podcasters here. And what pickles?
Yeah.
No, just when he was asking Big Poppy how much he could bench, and like that was great. He was like 4 or 5, and he's like, I can do that. It's just Big Cat's just one of those.
There's a lot of great moments in that.
He's my guy.
I got one last and I think this one is just it's a little bit of a turning of the page. I got a big it's officially March, so that means that the madness is going to begin. And specifically for us here, it is a huge moment because we've had a tradition going back. What is it? 4 years? Will this be the 4th year?
I believe this will be year number. Whenever gambling became legal in Massachusetts is when the March Madness really begun.
I think that was 2023, so
that was when I was
this
right.
This would be
year 4.
This would be the 4th year of the boys getting together for that first round of games, which, candidly, most exciting rounds. That's where the most upsets happen. So we will always remember Zach Edey and Purdue losing to Florida Gulf Coast. I think
Fairleigh
that's who
Dickinson.
it was.
Fairleigh
Dickinson. Yeah,
I rode them.
Zach Edey was just too tall, and I think we all won hundreds and hundreds of dollars that day. So that was fantastic, and I will always remember that time. And we're going to have a repeat this
Dickinson.
year.
We need to get back on.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we've had a couple rough years, so I think we gotta
we need to get Elio
back on our game
here. He's a big gambling dude. He knows all about it. I actually followed a couple of the Ice Guys calls, and he actually won me about $60-70. So shout out to him.
I love Elio, but I'm not sure if the old basketball is his game. I know it's the hockey sticks, that are more his thing.
I'll take any bet. I'll take any good insider information.
No doubt. It's it's the best time of year. Conference tournament week is next week. You got rivalry games going on this week to wrap up the regular season. So we'll be diving into college basketball a little bit more over the next couple weeks. As we keep the show going and talk about more things going on from a March Madness standpoint. Definitely an exciting time of year when it comes to that. And it's really wide open. I mean, there's probably 7-8 teams that could be vying for the national championship. It's been a really good college basketball season this year and lots of different teams that are in the mix. So it's going to be a fun March Madness coming up. Get those pencils ready. Get ready to fill out your bracket and deposit some cash into your gambling accounts, because this will be a fun ride, fellas.
Agreed. Just don't tell your significant other.
Or your significant other can get on the bus and
that's right.
Or they'll just throw in their own parlays, and we can all be
Mrs. Big E likes to bet, So I don't know about the rest of your
all I gotta
wags,
say
but
is I'm looking forward to tons of food, gambling, and Sweatpants Sam will definitely be out because I'll need to expand. So,
expansion will be needed. No,
we
Mrs. B won a ton of money on NC State taking down Duke a couple of years ago. So, there's it brings out the best in us. So,
girl, Mrs. P.
Be good times. Gabe, any March Madness wrap-up thoughts here, and then we'll bring the show home.
I think March is not an easy month in New England. It's kind of like it's a long month. You don't get many. There's no holidays where you get off from work. There's St. Patty's Day, which is great, but sucks to go in with a hangover the next day. I think March Madness is what kind of brings us through into April and into the spring, and I'm feeling it, boys. It's getting lighter out. There's some warmer days mixed in with really cold days, so March Madness is always a good time. It's always a sign of things turning around for the better, and I'm excited.
Gonna be a time. We'll be active on the socials. Maybe we'll go live like we have previously on that Friday of the first round. So stay tuned on more things coming from the podcast. But right now we're gonna take the pike home. We're gonna pack the car and call it a day here. Big E, what's going on with the Celtics this week?
Yeah, Celtics are currently playing the Bucks right now, and they are up 14.5. So hopefully they take care of business tonight. They should. This is Giannis's first game back. But later on this week, they are hosting the Charlotte Hornets, and our good friend and owner of the Hornets, which we will hopefully have on at some point. I will be there, boots on the ground. So I do not believe that Tatum will be playing this game as much as I would love to. But there is some buzz that he might be potentially coming back on Friday, 3-6 versus Dallas. And then obviously Sam still has his prediction of 3-14, which still holds true. And they wrap up this week with a nice trip to Cleveland on Sunday. So that's a big game. The Hornets game, in my opinion, is very sneaky. The Hornets have been very, very good over the last month and a half, 2 months. So that is certainly no cakewalk. But of the game of the week, you have to look at the game versus Cleveland, because Cleveland is right neck and neck with the Celtics as far as the standings go.
Dude, I'm shocked at Charlotte being 500 this year. Like they've had a pretty unbelievable turnaround, and
It starts with ownership.
I don't want to like gas them up too much here, but like they've done some things that I know about in terms of investing in the team and the facilities, and just giving that team an opportunity to have success. And you look at a guy like Charles Lee, who was here with Missoula the year that they won the championship, and a coach that sort of brings a mentality to Charlotte that is getting them there. I don't think that they're going to be like the Pistons and the turnaround that they've had, but that's sort of the model that they're going for in terms of getting out of the doldrums and becoming respectable again. So he said to me that if they made the play-in and got into the mix from that standpoint, they considered a big success in their position to do so. So
I mean, they got one of the best rookies. They got one of the best rookies this year in Con Knuckle. Con Knippel. I mean, honestly, besides Cooper Flagg, I mean, if Cooper Flagg wasn't in this draft, you might consider him to be the favorite for the Rookie of the Year. So, and they got him, I think, at 5 or 4. So he certainly they landed a great pick, a kid from Duke right down the street from them, and he is the center.
Too, Eric.
Yeah,
I remember in the draft, I think Ace Bailey went after Con Knippel, and a lot of people are saying Ace Bailey was a top, prospect in that draft, and people were kind of shitting on the Hornets for picking the nipple, and he's proven the haters wrong. I mean, he's looking good in the NBA, so good for cousin Gabe, and I always wish good success for the Hornets just because of that caveat,
Ryan Kalkbrenner too. They got him in the second round, and he was someone that I was looking for the Celtics because he's a big man. So like they got 2 great big men in that draft. Watch out for them. They're a rising team. They're a team where I think everyone thought Orlando was going to be last year, that was going to take it to the next level. I'd watch out for Charlotte. They're a team that they're on the rise.
They're building.
There's just the thing is there's just no expectations for them, right? Like any noise that they make and any success that they have is considered, good things for them. So wishing them best of luck. I do hope the Celtics kick their ass on Wednesday and we can rub it in a little bit. But after the Celtics, I'm certainly rooting for them big time. So it's good to see their success. All right, Gabe, what's going on with the Bruins? A big week of games coming up for them.
Yeah, and this is get used to this. The Bruins are going to have a lot of games coming down the stretch here because of the Olympics. They got to squish a lot in. So on Tuesday they're playing at home against the Penguins. Thursday they're away in Nashville. Saturday, they have a nice matchup against Washington, and then they play back-to-back, so they play Sunday again against the Penguins. So lots of games. We'll see how the team holds up, and I think the game I'm most looking forward to is that matinee on Saturday against the Capitals.
16 games in 31 days this month, and we're already 2 days down, and they haven't played a game yet. So in the month of March, that's a lot of games in a short period of time.
Yeah, for sure.
Going to be jam-packed Bruins and Celtics coming up here down the stretch. Kraz, what's going down on the fort this week, and what are you looking forward to with the World Baseball Classic getting started?
Yeah, I was gonna say not too much the fort, just kind of hoping that those guys kind of progress and do their thing more so. My eyes are gonna be on the preliminary rounds and the exhibition games that they're gonna have going on the next couple of days in between these national teams and MLB teams. And then obviously the World Baseball Classic that we have starting on the 5th, which is going to be just awesome. So I'm all about it. Obviously, Japan's that frontline winner, but USA, we got to bring it home.
Couldn't agree more. So it'll be fun to tune in to everything going on with the World Baseball Classic. Hopefully see the U.S. make a run and get behind those boys once again. So that's going to do it here on the Boston Sports Brothers podcast. We have a potential guest next week that could be a guest for the ages. And we've been working on this behind the scenes for quite some time. I do believe it is confirmed, and that is one James Stewart, J. Stu of the Felger and Maz show, scheduled to be with us next week. So we're looking forward to him being on. Got a lot to talk about with J. Stu. That's going to be an episode you don't want to miss. And then, as always, it's been a while since we've had this guy on, but Trevor Haas will make his return for March Madness preview. He holds one of the votes for the top 25 and is in tune with college basketball season, so he'll be on that Monday show. 2 weeks from now, we'll have our bracket ready. We'll be talking about all the matchups and games coming out that week. So 2 fantastic guests coming up.
What's up, Trevor?
What's up, Trevor? So looking forward to having those guys on over the course of the next couple of weeks. Gentlemen, always great to see your beautiful faces. Audience, near, far, wherever you are, thanks for tuning in. As always, we'll see you next time on the Boston Sports Brothers podcast. Peace.
Good night.